So, latest exit polls streaming in to analyze those predictions. Remember, however, they can be bad for your health. So always take exit polls with a pinch of salt. But here are the predictions coming in. The latest polls coming in, the Axis India Today poll. What is the latest numbers coming in? Ankit, Shrija and Veera Raghav join me to analyze that. Ankit, let's go through what the latest exit polls are showing.
All right, let's start with the India Today Axis India poll. Now, this is at this moment giving a clean sweep to the Congress party, 122 to 140, which is 9 seats. The lower limit is 9 seats over 10 seats over the majority mark and going up to 140. So it's a clean sweep as far as the Congress is concerned. Largely, this poll, in fact, predicting a victory for the Congress party. But, other exit polls, if you go by one, all these exit polls have given a very tight race. Only 3. That includes the News Nation, which is giving the BJP a clean majority, 114 for the Bharatiya Janata Party in the News Nation poll. Apart from that, Chanakya is also giving close to majority as far as the Congress is concerned. 102 to 112 is what the prediction.
Ankit, let's just look at the latest polls that you're just talking about, and I would like to bring in Veera and Shrija also on that, because 2 new polls have just come in at 8 o'clock. That's the Axis India Today poll and the Chanakya poll have both come in. Now, let's just look specifically at those 2, because those are interesting, because they've actually taken much more of a gamble than the earlier exit polls, which have played it much safer. So, Veera, just come in on that, because these 2 polls giving quite a different picture from what the polls were just about 10 minutes ago.
That's right. I think there were several polls which were sort of hedging their bets. This seems to be a little more in terms of taking a stand on it. And if it's 140, as the Axis India poll is predicting, Sonia, this would mean after 1999, that's the kind of victory the Congress has not had. The upper limit for it. Of course, the lower limit at 122, as Ankit pointed out, 10 over the mark. The Congress, as far as the Congress is concerned, anything below 120 would be an extreme disappointment for the party, at least within that. So overall, the trend seems to be predicting the Congress to be the single largest party. 4 of them predicting Congress to be closer to the 112 or crossing the 112 mark, but also not ruling out the possibility that at the lower end, it could become a hung verdict. Sonia, I think that's the way perhaps one gets the impression of these exit polls as we see them all together.
Shrija, if we see Mallikarjun Kharge on rally after rally, he's told voters that you have to give the Congress above 120, because if it's a close fight, we don't know which way the verdict will actually go. So they're asking for that. But on the ground, where we're seeing that other exit polls showing that the JDS also emerging as a possible kingmaker. So the calculators and the phone calls happening right now. What are you hearing from the different camps?
Well, yes, that always was a worry and, a fretting thing to say to the least, because we did not really want a hung assembly, but Karnataka really has that history. But of course, there are sources within, the Congress also telling us within the party that there are a few of them dialing their numbers already to some of the JDS leaders, because they already know it's going to be a hung assembly. So they need to keep a few of their, leaders ready so that they can poach them, especially from the JDS directly to the Congress, if the Congress want to really just remain as the single largest party, if they clearly do not really want even a merger with the JDS. This is what we understand, because as you see, since the last 2 to 3 terms, we have seen the numbers, as far as the JDS is concerned, the numbers have shrunk. So to which we understand the negotiation has also slightly come down. But the sources within the Congress telling us that already there are certain leaders who are looking at some of the JDS ones to actually poach them and bring them to their fold to ensure that they can stay ahead of the BJP, where we're looking
Shrija,
right
that
now
point you're
at
making
a
is
very
very interesting,
fight.
because Ankit, already you've got various war rooms or various observers pointing out, will it be Operation Kamal versus Operation DK? Because Karnataka is one of the few states where the Congress has somebody who can perhaps be a match for the BJP heavyweights.
Well, DK Shivakumar has proven for the Congress party time and again, just not in Karnataka, but outside as well, that he has the firepower, the will, in fact, to fight the BJP at its own tactics. Remember, DK Shivakumar came to the prominence as far as the national politics is concerned when he went to Ahmedabad for that Rajya Sabha election of late Ahmed Patel, and that's the time when he got the prominence as the big election manager. I also remember when a similar kind of thing was happening as far as Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra is concerned. It was DK Shivakumar who went outside, stood outside those resorts and tried to woo the MLAs back. So he's seen somebody, those scenes of DK Shivakumar, even when his own government was in danger. The man standing outside in Karnataka Assembly, getting one by one each MLA inside. He has emerged as the Chanakya as far as the Congress party is concerned. And that's what in Karnataka is different from any other state. There is somebody who can take on the BJP on their very tactics, both with the financial power and also the electoral mathematics. But
Veera Raghav, just that point, because of course for the BJP, what they're clinching as the game changer, or their claim is the game changer, really that Prime Minister's campaigning those last 2 days, especially the road shows in Bengaluru, the Prime Minister's focus on the old Mysuru region, which of course is a stronghold for the Devegowda and Kumaraswamy. So how much the Prime Minister, Amit Shah, JP Nadda and Yedurappa, how they have come together, will that get the final lap for the BJP, with some exit polls showing it as really a cliffhanger, very close fight?
Well, if these polls hold, Sonia, and if these polls hold on the 13th of May, the BJP would believe that that's what turned the narrative, because they started off on a very weak footing. I thought most observers believed that the Congress had an edge from the start. Perhaps that's what turned it, is the way the BJP would like to see it. But given all this, Sonia, you posed that question on DK Shivakumar to Ankit. Yes, Ankit's right that DK Shivakumar has been the Congress's troubleshooter. But if the numbers go anywhere below 120, I think it would become very difficult for the Congress to form a stable government in Karnataka. I think it's not 112 that they were looking at, which is why they kept reiterating going beyond 120, given the nature of the state. So I think that's really why this kind of a margin or these kind of numbers could be worrying for the Congress, given that majority of the exit polls seem to be keeping them below the 120 mark. Some much well below the 112 mark as well, though of course one of them predicting up to 140 for them.
Right. Thanks so much. Let's just hear what the politicians had to say. So the Chief Minister, Bomai, is saying that he's confident that there will be a complete majority for the BJP. But also let's hear what the politicians said at the campaign trail. First, Chief Minister Bomai.
Exit polls are exit polls. Yes, and even these exit polls are going very close finish. So, but our information on ground is very clear that we are going to get 100% complete majority, comfortable majority. And the real poll results will be there on 13th. I think everybody should wait till 13th.
And what did the other newsmakers say on the campaign trail and today? Let's just take a look.
ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आएंगे ये मेरी उम्मीद है. जो अब जीतने के लिए तो 113-14 सीट की जरूरत है, लेकिन हम करीब 130-35 के ऊपर जाना. लोग चाहते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी आए और हमको सभी जो रिपोर्ट मिल रहे हैं अच्छा तरीके से चुनाव चल रहा है और कांग्रेस पार्टी थम्पिंग मेजॉरिटी से चुनाव जीतेगी.
इंक्लूडिंग भारतीय जनता पार्टी or Congress, the two national parties, cannot form the government on their own.
So what is your thought on opposition unity, sir?
No, opposition unity I cannot say, because I have not toured the state. Only Kumaraswamy has got West Bengal and Telangana, and he was also concentrating only in Karnataka.
Well, we're looking at that big Karnataka result on Saturday. Tomorrow, two big verdicts, of which one is also could shake the chief ministership of Maharashtra. That crucial verdict tomorrow on Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's status as an MLA and 15 other MLAs who's left with him to split the Uddhav Thackeray's Sena is tomorrow. Arvind has more details. Arvind, why is tomorrow's verdict so crucial, especially given that the Election Commission had already decided that in a sense the Sena belongs to Eknath Shinde and his party, the symbol and the name?
Sonia, almost Uddhav Thackeray camp had moved a Supreme Court challenging the move by Eknath Shinde and also 15 other rebel MLAs. In fact, they wanted the Supreme Court to disqualify Eknath Shinde along with 15 other rebel MLAs, saying that because there has been a no confidence motion that has been moved against the then Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly, and also subsequently with his resigning, there has been a new government, and that's why they don't want the Speaker, the current sitting Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly, to decide on the disqualification plea of all the 16 MLAs, and that's where, very importantly, Uddhav Thackeray wants Supreme Court itself to decide on the disqualification of Eknath Shinde along with 15 other rebel MLAs. If at all, if Supreme Court decides that Eknath Shinde and 15 other rebel MLAs can be disqualified by the Supreme Court itself, and Supreme Court proceeds to disqualify him, that means that Eknath Shinde cannot continue as a MLA. That means he has to step down as a Chief Minister. That also means the government also falls, and that's where this has been the main argument of Uddhav Thackeray even before the Election Commission, saying that the Election Commission should not take into consideration the 16 MLAs of Eknath Shinde camp, because that particular matter is pending before the Supreme Court, and that's where this particular verdict of Supreme Court 5-judge bench headed by Chief Justice of India Justice Chandrachud is very important tomorrow, because that will seal the fate of Eknath Shinde and also the Shiv Sena, Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis government in Maharashtra.
Right, so two crucial verdicts there coming from the Supreme Court. Track that here on NDTV. But let's just go across to the big international headline and what's currently happening in Pakistan. Today, a radio station in Peshawar was set on fire by Imran supporters as the ex-Prime Minister was sent to 8 days custody as well. The Pakistan government today in a press conference accused Imran Khan of massive corruption and compared him and his supporters to the Taliban for burning schools. More leaders of Imran Khan's party, PTI, were arrested, amongst over 1,000 people arrested across Pakistan.
Radio Peshawar building in flames as protests in Pakistan continue for the second straight day over Imran Khan's arrest. Over 1,000 detained across Pakistan for the violence. But the setback to Imran Khan continues with an 8-day physical remand granted to the anti-graft agency, the National Accountability Bureau, in a corruption case.
And as you know, that this case in which he has been arrested by NAB is a case of graft, a case of embezzlement, a case of corruption of 160 million pounds, which is 60 billion Pakistani rupees. 160 million pounds which were confiscated from this person for money laundering in UK. Imran Khan returned that confiscated money back to him so that he could settle his account with Supreme Court.
And there was more trouble for Imran Khan, indicted by the court in the Tosha Khana case for unlawfully selling state gifts. Meanwhile, India has asked the Pakistani authorities for security for an Indian bridge team in Lahore. India has sought their immediate return from the country in view of the deteriorating law and order situation. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, let's go across the other big headline tonight. Official state visit by the Prime Minister to the United States. Maha has the latest details. Maha, why is this visit significant?
It's a hugely significant visit. First of all, Sonia, the Prime Minister and Joe Biden will be meeting 3 times within a span of 1 month alone. In May, they'll be meeting twice at least at the G7 summit in Japan, then in Quad summit in Australia, and then the state visit. This state visit is coming after 14 years for an Indian Prime Minister, the last one in 2009 when Manmohan Singh had gone. So this is the first state visit to the US by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Hugely significant also because there's going to be a state dinner, and this is only the third person or the third leader that Joe Biden is hosting for a state dinner after the French president and the South Korean president. The focus clearly, Sonia, is on China, and that is why we are seeing India and the US coming close together. The White House readout clearly mentions there will be discussion on Indo-Pacific, free, open Indo-Pacific, and that is reason enough to make us believe that the focus is counter China. After all, for India, China is a trouble spot, considering the friction in eastern Ladakh has been going on now for over 3 years. For America too, countering China remains very important, and therefore we are seeing the two countries come close on that ground. The other important aspects that will be discussed are trade, technology. Even in technology, let me point out, one of the important reasons for the two sides coming together, looking at semiconductors and other aspects, is once again to counter China. So hugely significant in this context, Sonia.
Right, Maha, thanks so much for that update. Well, let's go across to one of the other stories we've been tracking closely, and that's the hearings in the same-sex petitions case. As it comes to final hearings, the petitioners have requested the Supreme Court to at least give a declaration to, in a sense, grant recognition to same-sex relationships. That's under consideration. But also the government arguing today, making the point that any decision on legalizing same-sex marriages can only be done by Parliament.
But a very significant advance because it was also dealing
Arguments in the same-sex marriage case before the Supreme Court's Constitution bench entered their final phase on day 9 today.
Refused to perform the ceremony of marriage.
In court, the petitioners gave various options to the Constitution bench to consider in case they don't agree with the dilution of the Special Marriages Act to facilitate same-sex marriages.
If you don't agree to SAB, I am making that suggestion as an alternate. Suggestion is this. That, my Lord, your Lordship grant us a declaration that we have a right to marry. Now, my Lord, we require in reality some state recognition, a document that yes, you have got married.
Any declaration of law would bind every individual in the country who is not before your Lordships. In case of a law, every individual is represented by his chosen representative. That is the first issue.
The request came as the Constitutional Bench had some important legal queries on its inherent powers and what it could do with the Special Marriages Act, including Section 21A that deals with succession in certain cases.
Then neither are we reading down, nor are we reading up, nor are we striking down 21A.
No, so let me leave aside option 3. Let us say that your Lordship keeps 21A.
Okay, Singhvi, we are not writing a blog, we are writing a judgment.
This legal point was stressed by Member of Parliament Sasmit Patra, an advocate opposing the same-sex marriages, who said Parliament had the capacity to undertake this exercise.
Is the impact on public policy due to legislative absence. Your Lordships, let's assume for a moment we have a declaration. How do we execute that declaration?
The Constitution Bench hopes to conclude the hearings tomorrow, and the final verdict is expected after the courts resume from the summer vacations.
Slightly different point, therefore I would...
In New Delhi, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
In other headlines, the Mauritius Financial Services Minister has told Mauritius Parliament that the Hindenburg allegations are false and baseless.
The Hindenburg Report cannot be read in isolation, particularly in the light of the rebuttal report from the Adani Group. As of now, all the inquiries that have been carried out and reports that have been requested from those management companies that are managing those companies, those global companies, so far there has been no breach that has been found.
In other news, important new draft recommendations coming from the United States, which now says that women should be screened for breast cancer every other year, starting at age 40 instead of 50.
All women should be screened for breast cancer every other year, starting at age 40. Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women if they get it. They also are more likely to get more aggressive forms of breast cancer. So this recommendation is particularly critical for Black women.
Well, the other big headline, ex-United States President Donald Trump has been found liable for sexual abuse, according to a jury. Now, the big question is how this will play out in his run for president.
More trouble for former U.S. President Donald Trump after a jury found he sexually abused and then defamed former magazine columnist Jean Carroll, who is now 79 years old, in a luxury store in New York in the 1990s. The jury awarded Carroll $5 million in damages. Carroll had testified during the civil trial that Trump sexually abused her in a store dressing room in Manhattan in either 1995 or 1996, then harmed her reputation by writing that her claims were a complete con job. While Trump has been found guilty of sexual assault, the jury stopped short of using the word rapist in its verdict.
Strange verdict. This was a rape claim. It was a rape case all along, and the jury rejected that, but made other findings. So will obviously be appealing those other findings, but they rejected her rape claim.
The jury held Trump was not liable for rape, but liable for sexual abuse and defamation. Trump, who was absent throughout the trial, in a post on his Truth Social platform, called the verdict a disgrace and said, "I have absolutely no idea who this woman is." While the ruling may not make a dent in Trump's base within the Republican Party, where his supporters tend to view the US legal system with skepticism and have stood by him through all manners of adversity, it could have a lasting sting as far as his 2024 bid to regain the White House is concerned. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.